Toyota Corolla Touring Sports Review Overview. What is it? It's a car with a mildly clunky name. The Toyota Corolla Touring Sports is a long-winded name for the Corolla estate. It replaced the Auris and brought the Corolla badge back to Europe after a 13 years break. In fact, the Touring Sports has been made specifically for Europe and is built in Britain. It shares its oily bits with the latest Corolla hatchback, with the longer wheelbase of the latter yielding a bit more room in the back. While not as striking as the regular 5-door, it's a more interesting-looking car than its predecessor and should inject a small amount of glamour into airport runs and drunken taxi rides home. You're joking, right? Of course. Well, only partially. With a heavy bias towards hybrid power, expect to ride in these a lot if you use a certain ride-hailing app. The range's starting point is a 122 barrels 1.8-liter petrol-electric hybrid, which is thought to attract more than half of the car's buyers. The remaining customers opt for the 178 barrels 2.0-liter version with more speed and bigger battery capacity, and thus less boot space. In keeping with current trends, there are no diesels. Sounds very, very sensible. Almost too sensible. For what it's worth, Toyota claims the Corolla is sharper to drive than ever, with a lower seating position and wider tracks helping spread out the weight distribution and make you more inclined to drive it with a bit of vigor. Probably not when the boot's full of groceries, flat-pack furniture animals, we'd suggest. How much more expensive is this estate? Upgrading from hatchback to estate costs around £1,250, upping the entry price to £27635, the premium buying the obvious extra metal as well as some thoughtful touches. Repositioned rear suspension components increase the width of the load bay, while the boot floor has 2 levels, the separating mat possessing carpeted and waiter-proofed sides so you can flip it around depending on what you're carrying, be it fancy bags or sopping wet dogs or muddy bicycles for the lifestyle points. There's also extra sound insulation to account for the larger expanse of space and apparently the world's first LED-load compartment lights. Don't you hide your excitement. What's the competition? Good question. The Corolla Touring Sports rubs shoulders with the Ford Focus estate, Skoda Octavia estate, and Volkswagen Golf estate. The BMW 3 Series Touring and Volvo Volt 90 are a bit plusher, and therefore outside the Corolla's direct circle of enemies. What's the verdict? A Corolla estate is exactly as worthy and no doubt as easy to own as it sounds. The Corolla looks more striking than ever, and proves Toyota is really on a roll with making its cars visually uninspiring by its own admission. Beneath the smart styling is a car entirely focused on hybrid power, and thus angled away from keen drivers, no matter how sporty its pitch. Instead, the Corolla Touring Sports is about as quiet and calming as small estates get, so long as you don't work its coarse CVT transmission too hard. That and its cost-saving for business users is the area it stands out from its many, many talented rivals. Because in terms of connectivity, practicality, and simple enjoyment, it falls short of the class best. If you want a hybrid estate, however, it currently has the market almost all to itself. Next, driving. Driving. What is it like to drive? The Touring Sports weighs a negligible amount more than the hatchback, and thus doesn't drive in a tangibly different way. So this remains a car that handles more than neatly enough for purpose, but without ever cajoling you into peeling off to more interesting roads to take the long way home. It feels set up for comfort, something it's very good at. It rides softly even if you push its drive modes into their sporty setting, and if you aren't too aggressive with the throttle, it's very quiet and unruffled. And what if I am too aggressive with the throttle? The Corolla won't thank you for it, basically. The hybrid powertrains use a CVT gearbox mated to unexceptional petrol engines, and the groan that follows any kind of urgency with the accelerator pedal is ghastly. The 1.8 version really is for saving money or C2 only. There's no reward for working it hard, only the frustration that there's no gusto to its power delivery. Which, if you're trundling through cities in the wee small hours with paying passengers on board, ought to be no problem at all. Please tell me the 2.0 41st is better. The 2.0 feels peppier, and you even get paddles on the steering wheel to manually flick through some gears, which does help inject a bit of life into the powertrain. But as it's a CVT, this isn't the same as actually changing up or down in a conventional automatic. While you really feel the 3-second difference over 0.62 miles per hour 11.0 SX falls to 8.1 secs, this remains a car best driven calmly. Sticking in emissions-free EV mode requires thoughtful use of speed in both the 1.8 and 2.0, and the meager electric range makes it a pointless exercise anyway. You're better off leaving the car to work out the most efficient use of power by itself, and that's fine, because there's no oral or physical sense of the engine yo-yoing in and out of use. Not much to celebrate for the driving enthusiast there. But then if you're in the market for a Toyota State, you probably aren't unduly worried about that. Next, interior. Interior. What is it like on the inside? The rear seats flip down with simple lever pulls, and the hatchback can whir open with an electronic button push or a waggle of your foot beneath the bumper. That's a feature which splits opinion at top gear, and there's no beating the simplicity of being able to quickly heave a boot open with brute force. But some buyers will naturally prefer a less physical alternative. Like in the hatchback, you'll forego luggage space by choosing the quicker 2.0 hybrid. While the 1.8 Corolla Touring Sports boasts 598 liters of carrying capacity seats up, the 2.0 cuts this to 581 liters, or 1,591 liters with the seats flipped down. Its boot floor doesn't sit flush with them once they are, though. There are more versatile estates. A Golf, Focus, or i30 Tourer all have marginally more room, an Octavia much more, but then they don't have the batteries of a hybrid system to accommodate. If you want a petrol-electric estate, this is one of your few options. At the front of the car, it's just like the hatch. Slightly less rear leg and headroom than you might expect in the second row, but supportive seats up front and much screen cleverness if you've avoided the lowest spec Corolla. A mid-life facelift saw the Corolla's infotainment overhauled, with the firm's latest Smart Connect system replacing the old and useless Touch 2 configuration. We still have some gripes about ease of use while you're on the move, but this 8-inch screen is a vast improvement. And better yet, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone compatibility are both now standard too. One random bugbear. There's a sharp line where some of the plastics meet behind the steering wheel, and it sits exactly where your fingers rest when you're gripping the wheel. It's trivial, but annoying. Something to check for on test drives. Next, buying. Buying. What should I be paying? Prices start from £27635 for the base spec Icon version of the Corolla Touring Sports, roughly £1,250 more than you'd pay for the equivalent hatchback. There used to be a saloon version too, but it's no longer on sale in the UK. As standard, you get 16 inches alloys, Toyota's much improved Touch 2, 8-inch touch screen, dual-zone automatic aircon, a power-adjustable driver's seat, heated front seats, a reversing camera, DAB radio, and intelligent adaptive cruise control. There's a full suite of safety systems on every model too, including lane keep assist that helps steer the car through corners as well as in straight lines. Icon Tech adds keyless entry and a push-button starter for £29025. Then there's design, which upgrades the alloys to 17s and introduces automatic folding mirrors, an intelligent parking assistance system, an auto-dimming rearview mirror, and privacy glass. That'll be £30190, please. GR Sport costs £31660 and gains a head-up display, front sports seats, and various bits of GR Sport branding. But no actual performance boost, sorry. Top of the range is Excel trim, which gets LED projector headlights, black leather sports seats, automatic windscreen wipers, and blue interior ambient lighting. This costs £32080 before you start thinking about options. Our advice is to go for the Icon Tech trim and upgrade to the 2.0-liter version for an extra £1,745. Sure, you lose a bit of boot space and fuel economy takes a slight hit, but it's worth it for the extra speed. You'll still be bored, but at least you won't be late. While you're unlikely to buy a Corolla to haul caravans, it's worth noting both hybrids can pull just 750 kilograms. Oh, and you'll need the smallest wheels if you want the most efficiency. The smallest 16 inches alloys cut CO2 and fuel consumption by 5 to 10%, which is ideal because fuel economy is a real strong point for the Corolla. The 1.8 officially returns 57.6 mph, but we saw 6 mph on our test route on a mix of roads. Impressive stuff. 52.3 mpg for the 2.0 ain't bad either. Low C2 equals low business rates, of course, and over 3 years a Corolla 1.8 hybrid should save you about £1,500 compared to a regular petrol or diesel equivalent. Toyota also predicts pretty strong residual values at almost 50% after 3 years. Next, specs and prices.